videos, I've largely glazed over the larger sexual side of the fandom. And while that might put some parents at ease, I realize I've left out a part of this fandom that is largely misunderstood. That's not to say it's a large part of the fandom, but it does exist, and skipping over it isn't the right way to go about it either. So we're gonna fix that. Many furries that engage in the more lewd interests that exist in the fandom often have to hide those interests because of the perceived stigma of being associated with these interests. You might have noticed anytime someone comes out or is outed, there's a lot of pushback, fallout. It doesn't end very well usually. To combat this, I've decided to begin a series on these more after dark topics in collaboration with real furries who have these interests to help demystify and hopefully destigmatize these interests. Now, a disclaimer before we get into it, I don't necessarily share in many of these interests. In fact, in today's video, it's not something I'm actively interested in. I just want to know more about it. Hopefully, by learning more about these aspects of the community, we can all learn to appreciate each other and be respectful of each other, because after all,
you and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals.
So let's figure out how some do it for a series on this channel. So there are plenty of members of the fandom that identify as ace or asexual. Not sure what that means. Well, here's a quick explanation.
You're wondering what makes someone asexual, or maybe even, am I asexual? Well, it's actually pretty easy to answer. Do you experience sexual attraction? If the answer is no, then you are most likely asexual. But it's not exactly a yes or no proposition. In fact, there are quite a few specific orientations underneath the umbrella of asexuality, such as demisexual, where you only experience sexual attraction after a significant bond has been formed. Grey asexual, experiencing sexual attraction only very rarely or in very specific circumstances. Apophi or apophie, repulsed by both sex and romance. That's only a couple of them. There's a whole myriad of terms that we could have gone into, but I really don't have the energy.
Of the 36 that responded to my Google form, 67% of those identified themselves as asexual, while 22% thought that they maybe might fit that description, but weren't really sure. And 11% were not asexual. Glad to have your responses anyway, though. I appreciate them, fam. Of those who specifically identified as asexual, a majority of those who responded identified themselves as cisgendered. Really not sure what that means. Here's a quick description somewhere on the screen. And of those, they were predominantly male. However, also notable, about 20% of those who identified themselves as asexual also responded that they were non-binary. If you're not sure what that means, there'll be a description somewhere, I'm sure. Then we dug a little bit deeper to really see how being in the furry fandom sometimes affects those who are ace. When asked if they had an interest in NSFW art, about 66% said they weren't so into it. About 19% admitted that they were kind of undecided. And the rest, yeah, they were into it. To understand why they responded this way, we've gathered a couple of their answers. Here, take a look.
Hello, my name's Artemis, obviously, and I identify as asexual, fully, like a whole ace. I suppose gender-wise, you could just call me a good boy, which probably equates to cis male. Heck no. No, that is the lewd part that I try and stay the hell away from. God, it's nothing to do with me. It's not on the menu. I have no appetite. It's... Ugh, no dick for me, please.
Yeah, I do. I identify myself as a male, so, yeah. I'm not interested in the not safe for work part of the fandom, and I don't know why, but I just don't have any interest in that.
No, I've always had an aversion to porn and sexual fetishes. Don't know why I'm like this, but I've pretty much accepted myself at this point.
Hey, Riv here! Thanks to Raychown for letting me be a part of this video. I'm attracted to some women, but not strongly enough to motivate me to date or to expend a whole lot of energy looking for a partner. Plus, women don't seem to find me attractive, so I pretty much live my life as an asexual. I am a cis male. My involvement in the fandom is purely for innocent fun. NSFW material does nothing for me. There was always kind of an innocence about cartoon characters when I was a kid, and I still want to see them that way. Seeing them with genitals and buttholes just sort of seems weird to me, and it doesn't turn me on at all.
Hello, Rainchild. I'm Kinda Wolf. I identify as a cis female. I am asexual. No, I do not have an interest in the not safe for work side of the fandom. Personally, for me, it's not interesting. I prefer other things of the fandom. The not safe for work side of the fandom, to me, is It's there, I know it's there, but I tend to ignore it. I don't go looking for it. And if I do see it, I ignore it. Personally, the not safe for work side makes me slightly uncomfortable, but that's not just to this fandom, that is to anything. In general, I don't go looking for not safe for work.
Of course, not everyone wanted to be on camera, so here's a few responses that weren't recorded on film.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number.
Now, lewd furry art does exist, and it sometimes is hard to avoid if it's really not your thing. So we were curious to understand if this was difficult for members of the ace community as well. Here's what they had to say.
Difficult as hell. I mean, so many people in this fandom find it sexual that you really can't avoid it all. No matter how many hashtags you ignore or keywords you block, it's always going to crop up in your Twitter feed somewhere or other. Just got to learn to live with it. But in terms of avoiding it entirely, not managed that yet. I'll let you know if I achieve that. It'll be a world record, I'm sure.
It's rather difficult to avoid for me. I use the safe work option on FA, which works pretty decently there. But other social media like Twitter and Telegram, no, it's icons, groups, happens. It's quite hard to avoid that stuff. There's an option for there, I haven't found it yet.
I found it fairly easy overall to avoid the sexual stuff. Most furry websites and chat servers have some kind of decent filters or separation for NSFW content. It's usually pretty easy to steer clear of stuff I don't want to see. The one glaring exception would be Twitter. I like Twitter, but it's really hard to keep NSFW stuff off your feed if it's liked or retweeted by someone you follow. There are some filters and tricks, but they don't really work very well. Nothing like scrolling through your Twitter feed only to have your eyes suddenly assaulted by fursuits and dicks flopping around. I really wish people would set up After Dark accounts for that stuff.
I personally find it rather easy to avoid the sexual aspect of fandom. Mainly due to the fact I don't really talk with others in the fandom. I don't know if, or try to talk. I don't know if that has any correlation, but I don't really deal with like other people asking these type of things or sharing these type of things with me, because personally I don't actually have any furry friends. Depressing. And for when it comes to on websites, I don't really use websites where the main purpose of it is for not safe for work, aka porn. I don't really use these type of websites. I use websites which have filters on them, so I don't have to look at these type of things, because as stated before, it makes me uncomfortable. And that's just that. For me, because I don't go looking for it, I don't really see it all often. On the odd occasion, things slip through filters, and to see it, I just go on about my day and avoid it, and that's that. And I spend a lot of time on the internet. Scary amount of time.
What members of the ace community do enjoy about the furry fandom, and what maybe they don't dig so much. So here's what we found out about that.
The fandom opens the door to what you actually want out of it. Like, it's more like a tool, so I wouldn't have met all the people I met or had the experience I'd had if it wasn't under the umbrella of the fandom, but that's obviously what the best thing about it is. It just lets you go out and find like-minded people, and without, being stuck talking to random strangers. That still happens, but at least now you can say, hey, look, I'm a cute dog as well. Oh god, I don't know if I can narrow this one down. The over-sexualization is probably the key point that I really hate. The fact that you can't have a non-sexual interest in something that everyone else considers a fetish without being constantly told that you are actually not asexual. Like, paws are cute, they're adorable, and I love them, but Jesus Christ, that doesn't mean that I'm going to go and spunk over them or anything like that. And why do you have the right to tell me, oh, well, if you like paws, you can't be asexual? Fuck you and your arrogance for thinking you know more about me than I do. Oh, that's probably the worst thing. People assuming that they can just run rampant and say, this is what you are, you fit into this box. Get out. Get the fuck out.
My favorite aspect of the fandom is art, self-expression, and obviously those fursuits. Oh god, I hate the drama in this fandom. Like, holy fuck, this is just too much. This person did this, or this person did this. Like, I don't really care about that. Like, I never interacted with that person. And if they did something illegal, just report it to the police. Sometimes it could be a good thing, like a warning or something like that, but mostly it's just annoying and, you know.
Creativeness would definitely be one. The talent that's out there is pretty insane. And I think the vast amount of people who come together would be another one. I've met some amazing people from all around the continent and even some from overseas. Gotten to see other people living different lifestyles, rural farmers in Indiana, New Yorkers. I think it would have to be the fact that some people are way too open about their bedroom activities to the point where topics can get rather disgusting rather quickly.
What is your favorite aspect of the fandom? The kindness, acceptance, and overall friendliness are my favorite aspects of the fandom. What is your least favorite aspect of the fandom? Just what we're talking about here, the sexual stuff. It doesn't really bother me that it exists, but what does bother me is when people flaunt it too much instead of keeping it out of the public eye. We need to put our best paw forward and keep improving the image of the fandom, and flaunting sexual stuff is not the way to do that.
But yeah, personally, my favorite aspect of the fandom is just fursuiting. I like looking at different fursuits people have made. I like making fursuits. I like fursuiting. For me, fursuiting is a way to mask my identity. It allows me to be someone else. And that's why I enjoy fursuiting and kind of why I'm in the fandom to begin with. Not because YouTube recommended a bunch of furry videos to me. No, my least favourite aspect of the fandom is the not safe for work side. Just because, as stated before, it's not interesting to me. And it's not a part of the fandom I really go out looking for. I know it's there, I know it exists, I have no problem with people who enjoy that side of the fandom. I personally just would rather not be involved in any sexual content at all. Because again, not interested in it whatsoever. Doesn't matter what fandom, doesn't matter what it is, I'm just not interested in it. And of course, talking as a general thing, there are asexual people out there, I know this from doing research on asexual people, that are into the side of the fandom, or inside of sexual things. Because being asexual just means you have no sexual attraction towards anyone. It doesn't mean you have no sexual interest at all. It could be an aspect of it, but it's not what being asexual is. For me, being asexual is not liking sexual things or being attracted to anyone. That's just how it is. For me anyway. For me as well, I'm also aromantic. I'm not romantically interested in anyone, so I'm just a loner in this world that does not want love.
Echoes in my soul. My weakness comes and goes. It goes, it goes.
Now finally, we asked our ACE respondents to explain what one struggle they may have to deal with in the furry fandom was and kind of give us some context. Here's what they had to say about that.
Well, following on neatly from my last answer, denial. Like the constant, nah, you're not ace. You haven't found the right person. How do you know unless you've tried it? All of that stuff. And that's not just fandom exclusive, I get that everywhere I go, apart from the holy shit, why are you a 6'5" dog? That's usually top of the list of answers, but it still happens here, and people are like, oh, you like paws, you can't be asexual. Oh, you like paws a little bit too much, because apparently there's like a gauge, and if you go over a certain point, oh, suddenly it's a fetish. That's really something that has been a struggle since day one, but meh, make jokes about it. That's fuel for the fire at the end of the day. It's just something you've got to get used to, really.
Sometimes people, especially recently, accuse me of that asexuality isn't a real thing and so on. But I just ask them why shouldn't it be, and they list some stupid reasons like that it is unnatural, that sex is normal, and that everybody has sexual, you know. Like, I don't I don't have any interest as far as I know. I don't know if I have any, to be honest, but like, I don't have any as far as I know, and I just repeated myself, but I don't care. And why shouldn't it be real? Like, many people are asexual.
Oh, I get messages all the time from random people, say when I join a group chat or I post something on Twitter asking for me to have sex with them or sexually roleplay with them. And whenever I tell them I can't do that, I'm not interested, I'm asexual, they either block me or they belittle me before they block me. So that happens quite commonly.
What is one struggle you often have being a non-sexual member of the fandom? Well, that's easy. Watching almost all my friends find relationships and never getting close to finding one myself. It's been really painful at times. To sum up, let me make it clear that I'm not trying to act all holier than thou or to shame anyone who's into the sexual side of the fandom. Lots of my friends are, and that's okay. I'm just not, and I don't think I'm ever going to be interested in that sort of stuff. Bye.
Personally, I don't have very much struggle in being ace in the fandom. It's more of just being ace in general. In the fandom, in most situations, I'm not very social. It's very difficult for me to step up and do something that requires socializing. For me, I don't socialize much inside the fandom. I have social anxiety, which makes life a lot harder for me, and I find it difficult to engage in social interactions with others. As is, you're lucky that I even did this, because I've never done anything like this before, especially to, I guess, a YouTuber I enjoy. I've never done anything like this. Other factors are included in that, but mainly due to social anxiety, but this is something I'm passionate about. I've never seen anybody else talk about it, and so I would like to give my viewpoint on it. I mean, I don't have the most interesting viewpoint, but I'd like to still give my view on it. For me, I struggle more with being ace outside the fandom, inside the fandom. The most thing I struggle on in the fandom is actually finding other asexual furs. I don't really see many of them in the fandom. None of them speak out. What I would like to see is a bigger sort of role model, I guess you could put it, who is ace. That would be nice. Someone who's ace and is free about talking about it. But my struggle is outside the fandom with people basically not convinced that I'm asexual and that I'm just a closeted gay. Which I'm not. I can tell you 100% now that I'm not sexually interested in men or women or anything. Sex makes me uncomfortable. The thought of it makes me uncomfortable. Also, what I see a lot happening is misconception on sexual interest and romantic interest, because these two things are completely different. Sexual interest is who you're sexually interested in, which is being homosexual. You're sexually attracted to the same gender. Heterosexual, you're attracted to the opposite gender. Asexual, you're not attracted to any gender or anyone. Doesn't mean an asexual person can't enjoy sex, but for me personally, I'd rather not do it. There's also the romantic side of things where you're romantic. I don't know how to explain this part of it. Aromantic is I'm not attracted to you either. That for me, I would say could change, but at the moment I'm fine with saying that I am aromantic. I am not interested in having a relationship, whether that be romantic or sexual. But for me, the biggest struggle is outside the fandom and not in the fandom. And even if it were in the fandom, it'd be the same reasons for outside the fandom, and people not really believing me, saying that, oh, I'll find someone. It's not true. I mean, I could find someone I'm romantically interested in, true, but being sexually interested, no. I've read a lot of the hate asexual people get, and me included, I guess, us ace people get, and it's all stupid saying that, oh, it's a natural instinct, blah 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 blah. But this comes mainly from uneducated people. What we need for this is for more people to be educated in what asexual is, and having a better education on the difference between sexual interest and romantic interest. And I just went off in a tangent. Anyway, that is my experience of being ace in the furry fandom. It's, to some, probably not that interesting, as I'm a very reserved human being who'd rather curl up in a ball and cry herself to sleep at night. That's other issues I'd rather not go on to talk about. But I think it's nice that someone who has a voice in the fandom is doing this, so I'm going to thank you, Rachel, for allowing us asexual people to have our voice in the fandom and to have a voice in general, because as it is, a lot of ace people don't have a voice, and even if we try and speak our experiences, we're just ignored for it, I find. So, again, thank you for allowing this opportunity, and I don't know what else to say. Bye.
To everyone who took the time to answer the questions I had to ask. Thank you so much. Your responses were invaluable and extremely helpful. Thank you. Now, on the topic of shoutouts, I am very proud to announce that today's video was sponsored by FURRAGRANCE, who incidentally just dropped my fursuit spray scent today. Well, recently, probably today by the time this goes up. And for a limited time, you can use my own discount code on site to get 10% off of any fragrance you want until February 28th. The code is RAGEHOUND122019, but it's going to be on screen because there's a good chance that you can't understand a thing I said because I flubbed right through that line. Professional YouTuber struggles. But yeah, thank you to everyone, especially for Fragrances, for tuning in today. And until the next video, I'll see you later.